Hello everyone, welcome back to Life on Point TV, and I hope you guys are doing well. Today I am bringing you, finally, this review. This has been probably a review, let's see, I started going on this journey of trying to find these point shoes in, I want to say May of this year, and it has taken me this long to actually get my stuff together, so to speak. So today I am going to be sharing with you guys the full review of the SoDanca Elektra Pointe shoes. These are a very innovative, different type of point shoe, and I was really excited to try it. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you are new to this channel or if you have not already, and please give this video a thumbs up. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023, so please help me in that journey. Share this video, do what you gotta do to help this video kind of get out there a little bit more. So without further ado, let's get into this video. This SoDanca process was very extensive, and I really enjoyed all of the process. So the first part of it was the virtual point shoe fitting. The pro of this, I kind of want to go through the pros and cons of each kind of category that I've kind of mapped out. We're going to go over the virtual point shoe fitting. We're also going to go through the point shoes themselves. We're going to go through my personal customizations to these shoes, and I'm also going to give you my overall thoughts. The virtual point shoe fitting itself was a very simple process. What you do is you fill out a form, you send it over to the email that's listed, and the pro is it's on Zoom. So you can do it from home. You get everything sent in the mail, so you give them pictures of your feet in different positions. You also, they'll kind of determine from there what you will receive and what sizes they'll send you. You will get sent everything that you need to try on. Now, the con of this virtual point shoe fitting is that the sizes may not be correct, and so it may take a couple of times, which is what happened with me.
A lot of your ambassadors talk about them, and that's what kind of got me onto them, because I was like, oh, interesting. And I like the look of the technology, and then I recently saw the Point Shop review on it, and the difference between the old shoe and the new shoe, so let's take all those out. So that's kind of been my struggle a little bit. The length is a little small, actually. This one is 6.5D, actually. I think I grabbed the wrong one. Let me see if I can actually go up in these without. These actually feel really comfortable. I don't feel like I need the toe pads in them. I think this is actually a good size.
Just had my final fitting, and I found the shoes that I'm gonna be wearing. They're 6.5, 5C SoDancas, and I've got my shanks here.
I felt like I could not find my perfect shoe, so it did take a little bit of time for me to actually kind of really understand what I was looking for with this particular shoe in general. So the other part of it is that it's not necessarily a con, but it is something to keep in mind, is that you have to trust yourself when you're trying on the shoe. I always tell my girls, when you're trying on a point shoe, you need to get the shoe that's right for you. And not because your teacher wants you to get a particular shoe, not because you're scared you're going to disappoint your teachers by getting a particular shoe. No, you need to get the shoe that's right for you, okay? It's a Cinderella moment. So you have to trust yourself a bit in this process and know exactly what you're looking for. So I will say that it does take a bit of experience when doing a virtual point shoe fitting. So if you are not so experienced, my recommendation is to ask a teacher to be part of your virtual point shoe fitting, especially if you are a student. If you're more advanced and you know what you're looking for, and you're a pre-professional, professional dancer, and you know exactly what you're looking for, you know what feels good on your foot, keep in mind exactly how you feel and trust your intuition. So that's my recommendation on that. But the pointe shoes themselves, I'm going to go through the pros and cons. Now, the thing about this shoe is actually that it is mostly synthetic, but there is also some glue. So the thing about, I'm going to compare it to Gainer Mindens because Gainer Mindens are also a very synthetic shoe. What it basically means is that a pointe shoe, a normal pointe shoe, is made up of different layers of glue, canvas, fabrics, all those different types of things. This shoe is not. This shoe is made out of a kind of a plastic sort of mold, and it's in the box. The box is actually plastic, and so is the inner part of this back here. So this is a little bit of pointe shoe anatomy for you. There is glue, however, in the wings here. So it does break down a little bit more. This shoe, like when I first got it versus now, I have worked in these quite a bit, and so now the glue has broken down. Now there is not nearly as much glue as there normally is in a traditional pointe shoe. So the concept of this shoe is very, very cool. I do actually really think it's amazing. So there's a plastic bit, and you can actually feel in here kind of the syntheticness of it. So in this part right here, there's a synthetic part. I'll show you right here. And then, of course, there's this flat back. Now, this flat back usually in a traditional pointe shoe is not something that you would normally mess around with. This is where the shank goes. And as you can see, mine is kind of ripped a little bit. I've been a little rough on these shoes. So these shoes in particular have a very, very amazing thing. There is interchangeable shanks. This is what makes this shoe in particular so innovative and so very just cool all around. They have 3 different strengths and 3 different levels. So it all is dependent on where you want the shoe to bend. I typically like my shoes to bend in the middle of my foot. I do have very flexy feet, and this is something you can kind of mess around with. And I want to tell you guys, again, be very selective. Take your time. Think about it. When you're doing a virtual pointe shoe fitting, or if you're getting fitted with these, get the shank that you feel most comfortable with. I got a medium hard, and then I also decided that when I'm first working with this shoe, it is a little bit of a learning curve. And so I did feel like I needed a little bit of a softer shank, but I did start to build up. So originally I didn't dance with the shanks in my shoes at all. And then I did start putting this medium one into the shoe. So there's a little pocket in here that you slide the shank into. I'm sorry if my mic is getting in the way. You slide the shank curve side in, and it goes all the way in until you feel it go in, and then it brings a very supportive pointe shoe. Now, the beautiful thing about a synthetic shoe is that it does not die nearly as quickly. I believe they say that this has so a typical pointe shoe is going to last you about 12 hours, and these are supposed to last you double. In the reality, these definitely will last you far longer, depending on how much you're dancing in them. There are interchangeable shanks again. It's a very supportive box, and it is very, very comfortable. This shoe is very comfortable. The fabric on the inside is very soft. And they work really, really well with my feet. Now, if your feet are not very strong, these may be a little bit of a challenge for you. The other thing I like about these shoes that I did not like about the Gainer Mindens was the fact that I could actually roll through my foot, and actually it felt like a traditional pointe shoe in that sense, where it did not feel like it was popping me up and then popping me straight down. There are a couple of cons, but I do think that if the company is open, these are very fixable things. So one of the cons is that it is not very flexible right off the bat. The shoe is not very flexible, so you do have to break it in a little bit. Not in the same way by any means that you would normally break in a traditional pointe shoe. But I did feel like it needed to be a little bit broken in. There are some techniques that you can do. The fitter had shared with me. There is no give whatsoever in this shoe. So if you feel like it's a little bit small, I recommend you size up. With these particular shoes, I personally feel like sizing up is the way to go. Here's why. When you have shoes that are a little bit too small, it is very, very distracting and very difficult to dance in, and it is also painful. So the fact that the shoe does run a little bit of a smaller size, so make sure that, again, you trust your instincts when you're getting fitted. My recommendation to the company themselves is to please make this shoe in a stretch satin. Block has this. Block does that with their Euro stretch. So it is possible, because it would be far more comfortable and a little bit more giving as far as the foot is concerned, as far as fit goes, especially if you're maybe in between sizes slightly. It would be very helpful to have your shoe give a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. It would be helpful. There is a blister point with this shoe. The Achilles heel, and you will see, I'm going to talk about my customizations, but the Achilles heel does cut into the back of my foot, and that was the only thing. And it's not just because it's so tight. This particular bit right here, as you can see, is different from the satin of the shoe. This holds the drawstring. It is not comfortable whatsoever. I've definitely had more comfortable on different shoes. So it is the Achilles heel. It is very uncomfortable, and so they tend to leave some blisters. Not my favorite thing, but I have worked through it. The other thing is these shoes are not very toe pad friendly, in my opinion. The less you have in these particular shoes, the better. And what I mean by that is a lot of people tend to put lamb's wool, toe covers, toe pads, all these different things inside their pointe shoes, making the size actually like way bigger than what they would need it to typically be. I keep less in my shoes. I find that if I have more in my shoes, it's very distracting. It's very strange. It feels very foreign. I like to feel myself in the shoe.
So I found the secret to dancing with no toe pads. I have toe tape, which is right on the top for a little cushion, and then sports tape, kind of like KT tape, but it's like the knockoff brand because it's cheaper, wrapping my feet in that. And yeah, works really well.
So what I do is I do tape my feet. I tape my toes with some knockoff brand KT tape, and then I tape the top with a couple layers of the cushiony waterproof tape, and that is all I need. I haven't gotten blisters from it. I haven't had anything to deal with. If I did have a blister, I use Second Skin, and there is a kind for sensitive skin, so it does not burn. I've actually tried it recently. One of my students actually suggested this to me, and it was a massive game changer. Tape your toes. If you want to protect your toes, if you don't want blisters, if you don't want the bruisings, if you don't want the abrasions, you need to tape your toes and take care of your feet. If you don't, you'll end up with ugly dancer's feet. My feet are pretty, okay? I won't show it to you, but my feet are pretty because I have taken care of them over the many, many years I've been dancing. My rating for this is a 3.5 out of 5. One of the things I did to these shoes is I hacked into them. As you can see, this is my left foot. My left foot is, I will say this, my left foot is bigger than my right foot. It is actually a whole half size bigger than my right foot. So this is actually very common with dancers. It is normal. I do know a lot of people that have this same issue. So what I've done, because of the Achilles heel thing, it was driving me mad, absolutely mad. So what I did was I cut into the piping area where you have this little basting stuff here. And I sewed on a square of elastic. I wrapped it around like where it would typically be in a shoe, and I sewed a square of each elastic onto that corner that I cut into the Achilles heel, and it has helped tremendously. Another thing that I found that you could do as well is stretch ribbon. Stretch ribbon is a little bit less giving than the elastic itself, so I would recommend doing a stretch ribbon if that is possible for you, but it does feel a lot better. So my true size, I do believe, is a 6.5D. I have inserted some elastic here. Now, I have been dancing for 18 years, and for almost half of that time, I've been dancing on pointe. So I am very well accustomed to customizing my shoes, cutting out shanks, putting things in, making my shoes last longer, all those different tips and tricks. Those types of things I do have a lot of experience doing. So if you are planning on hacking into your shoes, please make sure that you're experienced enough. Do it in a old pair of shoes. If you want to practice, that is what old shoes are great for. Practicing your sewing your point shoes, practicing hacking into your shoes without ruining them. I did bend the shanks a little bit. I bent the shoe back and forth to kind of break it in. I did use a hair dryer to it was recommended to help shape the shoe, just to kind of go back and forth with it. So I did do that. I also bent the shanks back and forth gently so that it felt a little bit more pliable for what I needed to do and for rolling through and all of that. And then again, toe pads, I use a combination of knockoff brand KT tape. My overall thoughts, again, I really like them. I think they're a great option if you don't really have tight ankles or tight feet. I do have some girls that wear them. They have tighter ankles, they have tighter feet, but they also have weaker ankles and feet. And since wearing these shoes, they actually have developed a lot more strength in their metatarsals and their ankles and things like that. So they are a shoe that you can actually work up to. And that is something I do like, is that you have the shoe itself, and something about it is like you could start off with the softest shank possible, and then as your feet get stronger, as your feet get more flexible, those types of things, you can start to work up towards a harder shank, which I actually really like. They're very supportive, and I do 100% prefer these shoes to gainer mindens. I danced in gainers for about a year and a half, and I could not do it anymore. I literally gave them away to a friend that loves gainers. They work for her feet. We were the same size, so I said, here you go, there's your gainers, because I cannot stand them. I could not roll through my feet. I actually know a girl, one of my students, her name is Julia. She's a beautiful dancer. She's been wearing gainers for so long, and they look great on her feet. She could roll through. She could do everything she needed to do as if she were in a real point shoe. For whatever reason, just didn't work for me, and that's totally fine. So I do very much like these better than the gainer mindens. Again, be sure to get the proper size that works for you. And if it takes a couple of times, really think about it. Like, the beautiful thing about a virtual point shoe fitting is that you do have some time to think about it. So that is really nice. So think about it. Make sure that you take your time. You think about, how is this going to work? And remember as well is that when you sew your ribbon and your ribbon and elastics to your shoes, it does change a little bit of the sizing. Only because, and I say that because of where the placement is, depending on where the placement is in your point shoe, it can make things tighter because it's supposed to wrap around your foot. So make sure that, you consider, okay, is this going to be a little bit too tight if I add on elastic and ribbon? Those types of things. And make sure as well that you allocate for the fact that your feet may swell or grow. So if you are a young dancer and your feet are still growing, you may want to consider getting a little bit of a size bigger so that you can grow into it. Again, these last far longer than a general point shoe would. And then also, your feet can swell. It is very possible. So something that you may want to consider is to make sure that you're able to, still dance in it, and you're able to still work through your shoes even if you have swollen feet. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the chat box. You can click the link in the description box to get more information on the SoDanca point shoe fittings and how that all works. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I will see you guys next week with another Left on Point episode. Mwah.